In the heart of northern Mexico, a crisis is unfolding. This region, known for its vast landscapes and agricultural heritage, is now facing an unprecedented challenge. The once thriving fields and pastures are now scenes of desolation and despair. Thousands of cattle are dying. These animals, which are the backbone of the local economy and a source of sustenance for many families, are succumbing to the harsh conditions, not from disease, but from starvation. The lack of adequate food and water has turned these once healthy creatures into mere shadows of their former selves. The images are stark emaciated cows, ribs protruding, collapsing from hunger. These haunting visuals are a grim reminder of the severity of the situation. This isn't a scene from a distant land, but a harsh reality for many Mexican ranchers. These hard-working individuals who have dedicated their lives to raising cattle are now watching their livelihoods crumble before their eyes. The land, once fertile and teeming with life, is now parched and barren. The relentless drought has stripped the soil of its nutrients, leaving it cracked and lifeless. The cattle, desperate for sustenance, graze on dry, dusty earth. The sparse vegetation offers little nourishment, and the animals' condition continues to deteriorate. Their low moos are a testament to their suffering, a cry for help that echoes across the desolate landscape. These sounds, once a symbol of a thriving ranch, now signify a plea for survival. This isn't just an animal welfare issue. It's an economic and environmental disaster that threatens the livelihoods of countless people. The ripple effects of this crisis are far-reaching, impacting not only the ranchers but also the entire community that depends on this industry. The loss of cattle means a loss of income, food security, and a way of life that has been passed down through generations. The environmental toll is equally devastating as the barren land struggles to recover and support new growth. This crisis calls for immediate attention and action to prevent further suffering and to restore hope to the affected communities. The primary culprit behind this crisis is a prolonged and severe drought. This drought has not only persisted for years but has also intensified, creating a dire situation for the inhabitants of the region. The lack of water has affected every aspect of life, from agriculture to daily living. Northern Mexico, known for its arid climate, is experiencing one of the worst droughts in decades. The region, already accustomed to dry conditions, is now facing an unprecedented water shortage. The drought has spread across vast areas, leaving communities struggling to cope with the harsh reality of their environment. Rainfall has been scarce and temperatures have soared. The combination of these factors has led to a dramatic decrease in water availability. The once fertile lands are now parched, and the heat waves have only exacerbated the situation, making it nearly impossible for any vegetation to survive. Rivers and reservoirs, once lifelines for livestock and crops, have dwindled to mere trickles. These water sources, which were once abundant and reliable, are now almost completely dry. The impact on agriculture has been devastating, with crops failing and livestock suffering from dehydration. The land, starved of moisture, has become unforgiving. The soil, once rich and productive, is now cracked and barren. Farmers are finding it increasingly difficult to grow anything, and the dust storms that sweep across the fields are a constant reminder of the harsh conditions. Pastures that once sustained herds of cattle are now barren wastelands. The grass has withered away, leaving nothing but dry, dusty ground. Cattle, which are a vital part of the local economy, are struggling to find enough food and water to survive. The drought, exacerbated by climate change, has created a perfect storm, pushing the region to the brink of collapse. The changing climate has made the drought more severe and prolonged, and the people of northern Mexico are facing an uncertain future. Without significant intervention and support, the situation is likely to worsen, with devastating consequences for the environment and the communities that depend on it. The impact of this crisis extends far beyond the parched fields. The drought has created a ripple effect that touches every aspect of life in northern Mexico, from the economy to the environment and even the social fabric of communities. The cattle industry, a cornerstone of northern Mexico's economy, is in a state of freefall. Once thriving ranches are now struggling to keep their herds alive. The lack of water and feed has led to widespread starvation among cattle, causing a dramatic decline in livestock numbers. Ranchers, their herds decimated by starvation, face financial ruin. Many have invested their life savings into their cattle, only to see their livelihoods crumble. The emotional toll is immense as these ranchers watch helplessly as their animals suffer and die. The price of beef, a staple in the Mexican diet, is skyrocketing, making it increasingly unaffordable for ordinary citizens. This surge in prices is not just a matter of economics, it affects the daily lives of people who rely on beef as a primary source of protein. Families are forced to make difficult choices, often cutting back on essential nutrition. The environmental consequences are equally dire. The drought has led to the drying up of rivers and lakes, which in turn affects the local wildlife and plant life. The loss of vegetation is not just a visual blight, it has far-reaching implications for the ecosystem. As cattle die, their carcasses decompose, releasing harmful greenhouse gases into the atmosphere. This contributes to climate change, creating a vicious cycle that makes future droughts even more likely and severe. The loss of vegetation leads to soil erosion, further degrading the land and exacerbating the cycle of drought. Without plants to anchor the soil, wind and water erosion strip away the fertile topsoil, making it even harder for the land to recover. This degradation of the land not only affects agriculture but also the overall health of the environment, making it a critical issue that needs immediate attention. For many ranchers, this crisis is a betrayal of promises made. Promises of government support and assistance in the face of climate change. Promises that have gone unfulfilled, leaving them to fend for themselves in a desperate struggle for survival. Their anger and frustration are palpable. They feel abandoned by the authorities, left to bear the brunt of a crisis they did not create. Their pleas for help often fall on deaf ears, fueling a sense of despair and hopelessness. Some ranchers, desperate to save their remaining livestock, are resorting to desperate measures. They are selling their cattle at a fraction of their worth, only to see them shipped across the border to the United States. Others are culling their herds, unable to bear the sight of their animals slowly starving to death. The crisis has sown seeds of doubt about the future of ranching in northern Mexico. Many, their livelihoods shattered, are questioning whether they can continue in an industry so vulnerable to the whims of nature. The situation is dire, but not without hope. International organizations and NGOs are providing emergency aid, trucking in hay and feed for starving cattle. They are also working with ranchers to implement sustainable farming practices that can help mitigate the effects of future droughts. These efforts, while commendable, are a drop in the bucket compared to the scale of the crisis. A more coordinated and comprehensive response is needed, one that addresses both the immediate needs of ranchers and the long-term challenges of climate change. The crisis in northern Mexico is a stark reminder of the interconnectedness of our world. Climate change, drought, and food security are not isolated issues but global challenges that require collective action. For the ranchers of northern Mexico, the future hangs in the balance. Their ability to adapt, to find new ways of living and working in harmony with nature, will determine not only their own fate but the fate of a region grappling with the harsh realities of a changing climate. As consumers, we must also acknowledge our role in this crisis. The demand for cheap beef, often produced at the expense of environmental sustainability, contributes to the pressures on ranchers in places like northern Mexico. By supporting sustainable farming practices and making conscious choices about the food we consume, we can help create a more just and equitable food system, one that values the well-being of both people and the planet. The crisis in northern Mexico is a call to action, a reminder that we are all connected and that our choices have consequences. We cannot afford to ignore the plight of those on the front lines of climate change. We must act now, with urgency and compassion, to support those affected by this crisis and to build a more sustainable and resilient future for all.